and also the opportunity.
Recording is on. Recording is on.
And also the opportunity to, if you haven't got a working account, share the name of your wallet and receive trust from people who are today here and who have the opportunity to meet each other here today in the space. And so what we will do is just to briefly introduce each other. We are quite many people, so we will probably do it via the chat. I will then give a brief presentation, and then you will have ample time to ask any questions. And then there will still be a bit of space at the end to, continue signing up and trusting each other before we leave. And so this is a 1 hour session. And my name is Caroline. I'm part of the Circles Cooperative here in Berlin. So we are a team of, I think we're about 10-ish people. We also work with some freelancers who are trying to really, pilot a project in Berlin where we really ground and embed the Circles currency into local community, into local economy. And so, that's really what we focus on. And then we also have my colleague Emma with us. Hey, Emma. And we have Julio, who will probably be joining us later on. And so we're all parts of the CAT team who's really doing the community work on the ground. So that's it from the introduction side. And so it would be nice to briefly, if you could just share what brought you here today in the chat. And also, if you do need any trust, you can write down the name of your wallet. And so then we can, throughout the session and also afterwards, start trusting each other through the Circles garden. Susan, did you have a question?
No, I just pressed the wrong buttons. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. So just as a reminder, like, what brings you here today? Do you have a specific interest in Circles? Are you maybe coming from, an organization, or how did you hear about us? We are curious to know what brought you here today. And maybe also where you're based. I think that could be nice just to know, like, your location, where your feet touch the ground, what brought you here today. And if you need trust, please also share the name of your wallet. So Susan is a law student in the UK, originally from Korea, but lived in the US for a long time. Cool.
So should someone break the ice, or how should we do it? Should we write in the chat?
Please write it in the chat, because we are quite many people and this is a 1 hour session. So we have to use the chat. Thank you for the question. Again, a reminder what brought you here today, where you are at, where you're based, and if you need any trust, please include the name of your wallet. Got Emma from Berlin. She's a journalist and she never heard of us before and she just wants to understand how it works. Great, welcome Emma. We've got Max Hirayan from Cora. It's a worker-owned delivery service based in Berlin with trust needed. Great. Susan, interested in UBI for a while. Diepke, visual facilitator and coach based in Berlin. Can't access her wallet anymore. Jerome from Crow. Hi, Jerome. Good to see you again. Jan in Berlin. And Florian needs trust to get onboarded. Okay, we have a lot of UBI interested people. That's really nice to see. But some people who need trust. So Susan Lee needs trust. Okay. Raul just moved to Berlin a few days ago. Mir's in Berlin as well, and also needs trust. Great, thanks everyone for sharing. And feel free to continue reading each other's introductions, and also feel free to, if you are already in the system, feel free to trust anyone else that is here. Otherwise, after the presentation, we will, from our team, also take the time to trust your accounts if you still need trust. Cool. So yeah, for now, let's jump into the presentation, just to give you a bit of a download of to provide a better understanding, hopefully, of how Circle works and what it is. So Emma will share some slides. Thank you, Emma. Cool. Maybe you could still click the little like Ausblenden button, and then it will be more clear. Thank you. Great. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, Circles is a basic income system for communities. And so yeah, so why Circles? So yeah, Circles is conceived as a digital complementary currency that allows groups of people to get organized and then ensure that they provide basic income. Actually an unconditional basic income for each other, rather than depending on the state. And in that way, it is a kind of people-powered money that comes on an unconditional basis. So the way it works is that everyone issues their own UBI of 8 circles a day or 240 circles a month. And so in that sense, Circles allows people to build their own economy and to support each other by that. Yes. So I'm trying to sync. Could you go one slide back, Emma? Cool, thank you. So it's interesting because the value of Circles really depends on the community that uses it. And so for Circles to work and for it to actually have a value, it requires quite a strong community with ties and that are in continuous exchange with each other using Circles. And the value of Circles is created through the value and through all the products and services that are exchanged in Circles. And so in Berlin, what we have agreed on is that 1 Circles equals 1 euro. And so money in general is actually an agreement between people who use the money, and same with Circles. And so, just to have a reference system, that's what we're agreeing on, that a circle is valued around €1. And everyone who then offers products or services in Circles can then still decide to price it in whichever way they want. Yeah. And I think we'll do a Q&A at the end. So maybe note down your questions if you have any. And so Circles, why Circles is really cool is because it is very stable and reliable and locally embedded and independent from the global market economy. So it is continuously issued, and it's not tied to any central bank. And the way that it works is that also locally embedded is because it really flows between people who have already mutually trusted each other. So it actually requires the local connections being there in the same community. And so the circles move via trust connections, meaning that it's actually a requirement to trust each other for circles to flow. So you can only send someone your circles if they have trusted you. Trust basically means that someone trusts you and therefore also trusts your circles, your tokens. Circles also provides a stable purchasing power, and that is because circles are continuously being issued every day. So there isn't maybe this feeling of scarcity that can arise. You can't really run out of circles. And that's also why people are very likely to pay with their circles. It's a very, it's an economy where money is in constant circulation, rather than fostering this idea of hoarding money, which I think can happen in other systems more easily. And finally, circles gives us the opportunity to value invisible work, such as care work, for example. And that's because we can actually assign value with circles to the work that we want to value, and that is maybe sometimes unseen. And that also just helps us to generally redefine the way that we understand what money is, how money can work, and the way we understand value and how we can attribute value. Yes, next slide. How does it work in practice? So these are the steps that you might have already gone through. There's a Circles Garden page where you sign up to create an account. You build trust by being trusted by 3 other people who are already in the system. And then you start receiving your circles. You actually get 50 circles when you first sign up. And then again, you start issuing 8 circles a day, amounting to 240 circles a month. And then you can start using your circles. You might already be on the Berlin Bazaar Telegram group, where we have a list of what is being offered, at least if you're in Berlin, that's relevant for you. And then we also have the marketplace that we will release publicly tomorrow. And I will say a bit more about it in a bit. But yeah, so what does trust actually mean in the circles of economy? So it's quite interesting, because in a way, it is the ability to issue credit to your peers. And wherever there is credit, there is trust. So if you trust somebody in circles, it means that you are willing to accept their claims to get resources from you. And so you trust that this mutual obligation that then is created can be cleared with circles, can be paid with circles. And so therefore the circles flow in exchange for what people commit to give, whether it's labor or time or products. It all is basically reliant on there being a trust connection. And that makes it quite a unique feature. Okay, we have here a screenshot of the Circles marketplace. So it is actually live already. And it's still like the beta version, so we're still assembling feedback, but you will be able, if you go on it, you can actually see a lot of our Berlin-based partners that we work with who are already selling their products and their services on there, and that's where you can spend your circles. Thank you, Emma. So yeah, and so this is a little more thorough explanation of how it works with the trust. So the most direct way of sending circles is if there is a direct trust connection between you and someone else. And maybe to add, what is important to understand is that the circles token is not actually a unified token. So everyone who creates an account and starts issuing their own circles, their own universal currency, universal basic income, actually issues their own personalized token. So I'm Caro, so I'm actually issuing the Caro token, within the Circles economy. But that also means that Alice, that I want to send Circles to, needs to first trust me in order to accept my personal Caro coin or Caro token. And so if the trust is given, I can just easily send 5 Circles to Alice. And then it gets a bit more complex. I mean, not that complex, but if there is no direct trust connection between 2 people, so let's say Caro, me, I want to send Circles to Bob, but we have someone in the middle, so we have Alice, and okay, the picture is actually the other way around. Bob wants to send Circles to me, but no, actually I want to send Circles to Bob, sorry. Yeah, it means that I can send my Circles. I can't actually send my Circles to Bob because he hasn't trusted me yet. So he hasn't, accepted, or he hasn't created the opportunity for me to send him Circles directly. So what happens is then that I will actually click on sending Circles to Bob, but what the system will do, and this is called a transitive trust transaction, it will send my 5 Circles, my Caro coins or tokens, to Alice, and then Alice's account will send 5 Alice coins or Alice tokens on to Bob, so that Bob will eventually receive the 5 Circles, which are sent through this transitive way. And this is just an expansion of the same thing. So it can also just be that there's various people in the chain. So we call this a multi-hop transitive trust. So yeah, the transaction can be extended to include multiple hop chains of trust, so that there's various people in between. But as long as there is like an indirect trust connection, the Circles will arrive in the wallet of the receiver. Okay, the Circles network. So yeah, we have 110,000 accounts. Wow, that's already quite a number of people who have signed up, and these are from all around the world. We have 241 shared wallets. So I will say a little bit more about what a shared wallet is, but it's basically not an individual wallet, but a wallet that is used by an organization or a company, and so it can actually be shared between different, between a group, so that everyone has access and that everyone can manage the wallet. So if you were part of an organization who wanted to participate, you would set up your shared wallet and you would act as a business, so to say, and then you could accept Circles from individual people who want to buy your products or your services, but you could also trade with other businesses. But what is important to understand is that as a shared wallet, you do not issue a UBI. That's only the individual wallets that issue the universal basic income. And as a shared wallet, therefore, you also don't have your own token. So what happens is that you just assemble the tokens of people who send you Circles, your customers or your clients, in the shared wallet. And therefore, also, you will have to trust your customers to receive the Circles, but also they can't trust you because you don't actually have your own token. So that's just important to understand. Okay. Usually the question that comes up is what the difference is between Bitcoin. So yeah, this is quite a dense slide. But yeah, the main difference being that you need fiat currency, so you need euros or dollars or whatever to actually buy Bitcoin, while Circles, you don't need that. It is a UBI that can be issued through yourself actually, but you need the trust connections for that to happen. and so it can't also be exchanged into euros. It is an economic system in itself. And so because that is the case, because you have the stable flow of circles in circulation, it's also quite different in the sense that Bitcoin really encourages hoarding and like trading, and just kind of replicates the patterns of the hyper-capitalist systems, while circles is more about circulation and encourages spending and really getting the circles into the flow. And in that sense, Bitcoin can be understood as a digital asset, whereas circles is a form of credit money used to fulfill debt obligations between different parties, or basically, pay for each other's, acknowledge the value of each other's services and products. Yeah, I think I kind of covered the main bits. Great. Yeah, thanks, Emma. Okay, building community. So that's what we are currently trying to do here in Berlin. Yeah, so if you are an organization or business that might be interested in offering your services or your products in circles, the first reason is that it can be interesting for you to diversify your income. So not just rely on euros, but actually be part of a different economy, and then that could provide some more stability for your own business. And it means also that once you are part of the circles economy, you can also buy goods and services with circles inside this economy, and of course also on a B2B, so a business-to-business basis. We are currently working on trying to create economic loops or economic circles. So a lot of the businesses that we have onboarded start, trading with each other and buying products from each other, and that also means that you can save euros. And again, I already mentioned this before, but Circles is designed to circulate faster. So if you're part of the Circle system, the Circles should come back to you faster. And finally, the Circles economy is locally embedded and therefore also strengthens cooperation between local actors and trust. And your customers will be more connected to you and your business because they actually have to meet you and you will have to trust them in order to receive their money. Okay, here we have a little slide. It's a bit small, but basically what this is trying to visualize is the kind of circles, these economic circles, these circular flows of the tokens that we are trying to create. So we have on the top left corner, we have someone who really wants to buy bread. And then they spend their circles and send them to the baker. Now here in the middle, you can see the bread bag. And then the baker will actually pay the farmer because this is her or his supplier, the farmer who grows grains. And then the farmer will also actually need to pay the mill, like who mills the grain, as well as pay the labor of the work in the middle, as well as if you go a bit more down here to the right, pay the logistics, the driver or the delivery people who drive it into the city, let's say. And so really what we are trying to do currently here in Berlin is to form these circular loops, these circular economies. Okay, a bit more info about our flagship project here in Berlin. So it is a bit of a pilot in the sense that we are, it's all quite new and we're experimenting with this. But we, as I said, we are this cooperative, and we're communally working on creating these circular economies with this purpose of really allowing everyone to access their basic needs through a universal basic income. So far, we have onboarded about 20 businesses into our subsidy program. If you're interested in that, we can also tell you a bit more about it. But it's basically a way to ensure that we financially support a few businesses to build enough critical mass in terms of products and offers and services in the system that will eventually be phased out again. But that is what we're trying to work on at the moment, and that's really the challenge. Is like, because there's so much interest and so many people signing up, but we also need to ensure that there's enough products and services being offered that we can actually get for our UBI, for our circles. And so far we're really trying to focus on the things that seem really important and really are part of our basic needs, such as food and drinks, care and health, co-working spaces, arts, bikes, services, logistics, delivery, housing, clothing. So these are all things that we have already, where we have partners who offer these things. And we have quite clear onboarding procedures for being part of this program. And the intention with this is to build a resilient, localized, and complementary supply chains. So it's always thinking about, as I said before, closing the loops, and also ensuring that, there is a complementary, that all complements each other and turns into a circular flow. And we do organize assemblies every first Wednesday of the month. I will say a bit more about that. And just so that you're aware, there are also other pilot projects in Bali and Munich where people are trying to do similar things as we're doing here in Berlin. Yeah, and so the market assemblies, this is an invitation to everyone who is based in Berlin. They happen every first Wednesday of the month. The location usually changes, but the idea with these assemblies is really to bring people together who want to democratically organize the circus economy in Berlin, and nourish a sense of community, but also invite our partners and anyone who's curious and engaged and wants to help to really spread circles and really embed this more into the real local economy. The next one is happening next Wednesday in Kreuzberg at the Smart Office. It's also a very interesting cooperative that we try to onboard, that we try to work with. And please join us. There's going to be a market where you can use your circles, spend your circles on different food items, different products, arts, different things. And then we'll have the assembly bit, where we will also introduce the marketplace in a bit more detail. And then finally, some networking and food and drinks at a cafe close by. And here's a really nice meme that one of our co-workers made. I think you can I don't need to go through it. I think it's just quite cute, quite funny. And finally, for those of you who are interested in the technology, I'm personally not admittedly a technology nerd, but just to mention that the Circles protocol is a set of smart contracts that are deployed on the XDAI, the Gnosis chain. So that is the blockchain, which is a stable payments EVM, Ethereum virtual machine blockchain. So this might say something to you, and this might also not. If you are interested in learning more about the technology side of things, you can read the white paper for context, where everything is detailed and very meticulously explained. And finally, there's some team pictures just to get a sense of who the people are who are working on this. Picture of our team meeting, and you can finally. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the people, at least in Berlin, who are currently working on circles. Thank you, Emma. And then we just have a last slide, I believe, with some of the URLs that might be interesting for you. Where you can join and create a wallet and read more about the FAQs and the white paper and so on. Great, thank you for your attention. We can now, and I realized that there was a lot of conversation going on, which I missed, but now there is time and space to answer any questions that you may have. So feel free to unmute yourself And yeah, ask any questions.
I'm curious about tax. If there's if people are researching, I don't know if is there any issue with hey, you're not allowed to do this, exchange things that aren't in our currency. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is complicated, but the quick answer is that the universal basic income is actually excluded from tax. So you don't need to tax it. I mean, in general, cryptocurrency has to be taxed, but because Circles counts as a UBI, I guess it is exempted from tax. That changes once you are using Circles as a business or an organization. You don't actually get a UBI with a shared wallet, and then you earn your Circles through selling your products or services in a professional way, and that needs to be accounted for in your normal tax declaration.
I can add some notes on that. We are in contact with tax assistants who are specialized on crypto, and we are kind of doing a pioneer work. So it's not really clear yet what the hard facts are. For sure, if you're using your wallet as a business, as Carlos said, it's super important that you use the shared wallet, because this doesn't get the universal basic income. So in the end, you're just using a kind of a PayPal or something like this, then you get a good Schrift, and that's it, right? So this is the one thing. We still are waiting for some more information. As I said, it's a pioneer work. It never happened before, so we're still waiting for more concrete news about that, in Germany at least. In every country is a bit different, so you should check that with your accountant.
Thank you, Emma. Good point. Pioneering work. Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself. I think there was someone who had a question. Hisuk.
Hi. Yes, I still didn't quite understand how you get new Circles. I understood if you offer a service and you get paid for it, but you also said you get new coins every day. Do you always buy them, like exchange euros against this, or yeah, you're already.
I can go on that
yeah.
too. Imagine this: what you get is nothing you can change against euros or against bitcoins or against anything. It's a kind of currency that we create ourselves because we trust each other and because we believe that this is worth to exchange with each other for some services or for something. That means your own wallet issues your own money, which has a value within the community that you're trusting and that you're handling with. But it's not something you can buy. It's not something you're going to hoard. It's something that we want to circulate. The idea behind is not to get rich, but to enrich the community within transactions, within things happening that are not possible because the euros are not enough in the end of the month. So this is the idea behind this universal basic income. I hope I was clear enough.
Mm-hmm. I think what I understood from that is that you can create your own money, and then
the wallet
if somebody's
itself.
if somebody's willing to take your Circles, and then yes,
then it works. Then you have it.
Then it works.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Max has a question.
Yeah. Hi. I have the question about how do you handle this local aspect? Do you have kind of a guideline, like which companies or businesses you're declaring as local, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, interesting question. So your question is really about the locality, and in a way, it is something that grows organically because it's only people who are already in the system who can, kind of onboard new people. So it's not really like a challenge or I don't know how relevant the question is, because like, for example, in Berlin, we now have, we have a hub here, we have a community here. And so they will organically, like suggest their friends who have businesses to onboard them. And that is how the system grows. So if someone, let's say in Hamburg, then wants to onboard as a business, but there's no one signed up in Hamburg yet, actually, I mean, they can create a wallet and so on, and they can then start. They can then start, and they have to. It requires a bit of work. They would have to then start their own community and spread the word about circles, do onboarding sessions, and so on. And so in that sense, we don't really control the locality aspect. It's like a feature that is organically written, let's say, in the system, because it relies on trust connections.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Like just very weird example, for example, like a Frenchy partner of McDonald's here in Berlin wants to join the circles. That would be possible.
Sure, it would be.
If McDonald's wants to do that, they can. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Someone has to trust McDonald's. I don't believe
He's
that
a
the
trust-
community in circles is trusting McDonald's. I don't know.
I mean, it is. I mean, just to clarify, it is decentralized. Like, there's no central power that controls, who signs up and who doesn't, and who is trusted and who not. It is completely, the power is completely decentralized.
Can I speak and ask a different? Actually, I have a few questions. I'm not sure how many of them are answerable. I'll start with the most basic one, which I sort of understand and is on your website about the technology of like the deflation of it, how it's not that when you sign up and you get more and more because you signed up early, then you are now the richest person in the circles community just because you signed up as the first person. So I wonder if you can explain sort of that formula of deflation. And then my second question is more practical in the sense of, I wonder if you have any advice for individuals like myself who is not a business owner. So then I feel that I can't generate much value into the currency as a business would, because I don't feel that as a default position I have much to offer for people to use their currencies with me. So if you have any advice on that, that would be my second question. And the last one is a little bit more sort of theoretical with the UBI concept in general, which is obviously, I think this is a pilot program, it's a local thing, but I think the end goal is for a universal basic income system to be implemented sort of on a bigger scale where everybody has that kind of security or safety net of that basic income. And I wonder if you know any sort of good explanations about how inflation, for example, especially with housing, it might work, where if everybody starts getting €1,000, for example, that housing prices won't just go €1,000 plus the rent as is currently. So I know many, but if so the first one was inflation, technology.
Julio has the answers. I see his hand
Amazing.
raising.
Yeah, thank you, Gabi, for your questions. Julio wants to jump in. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, perfect. So for the last question about the sort of inflation of circles or like in general in the economy, I mean, what we have to look at always when we think about inflation is always the side of the supply chains or the goods and resources that are flowing. So you hear a lot about inflation growing nowadays, and it's because of a lot of disruptions in the supply chain caused now by the war, but also because of COVID. And so what is important to say is that because inflation is a process of redistribution, mostly happening from people who have, debt to people who issue the debt, so like a bank or someone who you pay rent to now raise the rent and so on. What basic income does when you introduce it in a place is that it actually gives people more purchasing power, right? People can actually start to have more power to say no to certain contracts or certain relationships, right? So we're doing now, for example, a specific loop or a currency network between a farm, a local farm in here in Berlin, in Brandenburg, next to Berlin, and a supermarket in Berlin, whereby the the people from the supermarket cooperative pool their basic incomes together to support this community supported agriculture scheme from the farm, and can now access food for circles, in this case, yeah, in this basic income currency, at a lower price than they would normally uh, do so, right? Because the cost of food is already very high to produce. And so, with a basic income, it allows people to actually sort of have more power over the price of basic staple foods, for example. Now, regarding your second question, which was about what can you give, I think it's important to say that the idea of basic income is that everyone always has uh, the power. I mean, everyone has always the something to give. Like people are valuable in and of themselves, so you don't need to be a business in order to give someone something to someone. You can already give whatever you think you can give to the community. And so it's a real question for you about also questioning what is value and what I can give. And regarding the first question you asked, which was about the sort of demi-rush or inflationary nature of circles, basically, like the way it works is that we call it inflation rate, but it's really not accurate. What happens is that the monetary mass is constantly increasing, but everyone always shares an equal sort of a shtuk or a share of that pie. So imagine a pizza that is always increasing in size, but everyone who joins always gets an equal slice of the pizza. And that is a structural thing because right now, in the money, a little part of the money that is lended to us, and we have to sort of compete for the interest in labor markets. The power to issue money freely and equally so that we can actually create a basic income from the bottom up. I hope this answers your questions.
Yes, thank you very much. I probably could have more follow-up questions, but I will allow others to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julio. Great. I see that there is trusting already happening between ourselves. Nice. And I do wonder if there's any more questions. What is the situation with the current bug I read in the chat?
I can go a little bit on that. We were checking the technique yesterday with a partner in here, and we realized that we are having problems to fulfill the creating a new account. We could give trust to this account, but in the end, it was loading, and not processing till the end. So we contacted the developers. They are aware of that, and they are working to resolve it. You have to understand also a little bit this part. It is a new kind of technology we're creating. We're a super small team. We live from donations, so we don't have this big amount of money as like Apple does or these big brands that develop things. So yeah, sometimes bugs appear, sometimes errors appear. We learn from that. We try to keep it fresh, to keep it updated and running without mistakes, but it's kind of impossible. So it's again a kind of patience thing. We were super disappointed today to realize that this is today not working on the day that we want to onboard you all together. But yes, again, it's it's a matter of patience. It will go on working in a couple of days. If you cannot access this wallet, just create a new one, and that's it. We will keep you updated in the main channels if we hear more from the developers, be sure about that.
Thank you, Emma. Maybe also mentioning that, yeah, we do work with a collective of developers, and we cooperate with them. So yeah, we are in constant exchange with them about the improvement of the technology itself. Jerome had a question. Adding to Max's question about McDonald's example, if Circles is to support local economies, how can this be assured and not have huge corporate competitors crash the local markets by penetrating the Circles payment system, for example, Amazon? Wiebke is saying by not trusting them. Yeah. I think it is rather unlikely that this will happen. And
I can jump a little bit on that too. This is not thought for big companies or something like this. Of course, if there is a super nice big company like Greenpeace that wants to pay with Circles, then we can onboard them or they just can join. This is more thought between people, direct people. So you trust someone, you onboard this person on the system, this person goes to this small local shop that they trust, they buy there in Circles, and this is not for that. We are kind of actually creating an alternative economy which has lots of values, and so not looking for these big companies. And I don't think that anyone in the system is going to trust ever McDonald's or Amazon. They are either interested on that, I think. So yes, I hope this explains a little bit.
Emma, yeah, Julio also just answered Jerome's second question. So yeah, probably don't need to expand on it more. But yeah, we use the sidechain of Ethereum. It uses the proof of stake algorithm. So it has the energy entropy is really low, but it does have maybe some other more like critical issues.
I wonder if, to the question about trusting of McDonald's or Amazon into any kind of UPI currencies, also sort of related to how Julio explained to me about housing prices rising because of inflation, in the sense that perhaps big companies do not have to be bad companies if there are people on the other side that have more power to say no to bad practices, so that small companies can grow into big companies that are good, as we think of them.
Sorry, I just actually lost track of what's happening. Sorry. So was this a question, Susan, or more a comment?
No, just a comment.
Right, thank you. Good comment. Yeah, I also think that I mean, one thing that we are curious about is involving the whole community and making it really participatory in terms of like maybe there are certain things that we like that are against our values and we don't want to be offered. And I mean, in the end, we can't really control who sells what, but we have just built the Circles marketplace platform where everyone can create a profile and start offering products and services. And this is something that we are thinking about, if we should have some kind of like criteria for exclusion from the marketplace, if it is against the values of the community, could be something that has, let's say, racist content, or yeah, it could also be that it's against McDonald's or whatever. But this is like an ongoing inquiry to see how we can potentially participatory design the guidelines for this marketplace, and yeah, if there should be any cases where we don't want certain products or services to be on there. I see the conversation about McDonald's continuing in the chat. Sweet, we're kind of approaching the end of this session. So I would like to thank everyone of you for coming. If there's more people you know who want to learn about circles, send them to the next onboarding session that is happening in 2 weeks. If you're in Berlin, please check out the Circles Assembly. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. We will continue to trust everyone who has showed up today. So you should have received 3 trusts. Yeah. After this.
I think Imogene Yasmin wants to add something. Go, dears. We are all ears.
Can I ask? I was just wondering. First of all, thank you for the talk. It was really interesting, and I've become a big fan of Circle already in the short time we've been using it. Love the community and the development and everything that's happening. I just have a question: whether it's possible to use an external wallet like MetaMask instead of the online web wallet on.
Yeah, at the moment that is not possible because it all runs like it's organized through our own like layer. That's the Circles Garden website where the wallet is where it is located. So that's not possible. I don't know if it might change in the future. There are different ongoing conversations about the future of Circles. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Also, just to answer to Wiebke's question, yes, we will follow up with accounts still in the creation loop. So that's what we will do right now. And Wiebke, I also just trusted you, so hopefully you should have the 3 trusts.
MJ. Kook. MJ.
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Now.
Good?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to give a comment about the McDonald's. I can make the same analogy with why the token can't be listed and sold on an exchange, and how the structure, the design of the structure limits that. McDonald's and central exchanges use asymmetric information, right? So, the seller basically knows more than the buyer. The buyer can make that decision to do it, take the risk or whatever. But somewhere in the scheme, there has to be asymmetry. So a corporation does that by simply 2 different sized pipes, the in pipe and the out pipe. And the most simple explanation, the intake is much larger than the outtake, right? So they take in money, much more money than they pay out to suppliers or workers and stuff. So that's the asymmetry that exists right there in the plumbing of a corporation and standard, for-profit stuff. And the exchanges can't have that same sort of feature. In order to scale up, you have to be able to maintain those 2 different sized pipes. Circles maintains a 1-to-1 pipe all the time. You can't change that. So, whatever value the person on A has on the side of the exchange is going to be the same as person B. McDonald's and central exchanges or speculators, what they do is they accumulate because they buy a lot of people's stuff, right? They make a big pipe coming in, they buy stuff low, and then they do something, they use information or whatever, some other asymmetry, and they cash out on that. So they take advantage of that. So if you can't extract more than than you're giving back out, then it maintains a closer equilibrium. So hopefully that kind of explained that. Both concepts. The plumbing is or the wiring, if you want to think of it in electronics or something, the circuitry is such that you can't have the same way that like you can't have you can't mix charges or something. You can't have you put your car battery in backwards or whatever, you're gonna have a problem, right? The electronics won't work the other way. So anyway, yeah, I'll stop there if you have any questions on that.
Thank you so much. Really helpful addition. Thank you. MG, right? That was the name.
MJ from Chile.
MJ, cool. I think I saw you on the chat so many times, but I never actually talked to you. So nice to meet you, MJ. Yeah, and Jerome, I think we can answer your question. Like Emma and me, we can answer it because we're already in touch anyway. I think it's quite a technical marketplace question, so we can talk about it. Yeah.
And next week we have this big, beautiful event, which is the assembly you can participate in. So we really encourage all the Berliners to come around, to bring the wallets, to bring the questions you have, so we can discuss them one-to-one with a little bit more time if needed. So we're going to be there in person on next Wednesday. Come around. Would be a pleasure.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you everyone for showing up. We will probably close the room now, but we will continue to trust all your accounts. So hopefully in a few minutes, you will be live with your account. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Ciao.
Aufzeichnung. Beenden.
Qué grandes.
Bien, ¿no?
Cats. Respect. Respect.
But hold on, because
Very
I'm still
nice.
recording. I don't know how to stop it. Fucking out. Oh, man.
You have to, I think, download it now. Like, you have to stop it and then...
Yeah, but I cannot stop it. This is the funny thing.
Oh, Aufnahme stoppen, Emma. I can click on Aufnahme stoppen if you want.
Oh, please, do that.
Okay, Aufnahme stoppen.
Ich habe das auf dem Tablet vielleicht deswegen